or doesn't want to be recorded, please switch off your camera. We make sure that you're not recorded at all, not your voice, etc. But we will give this to other employees and partners afterwards. So that they can get a picture of what they can expect in Rollup 31. As last time, we would appreciate it if you would ask questions directly, even though we will stay at the end as well to answer all of your questions which came up during this 1 hour, which we expect to have here. If you want to ask questions in between to any topic we are talking about, please use this little hand symbol. I just do it for you. Please follow me if you can find it. Vera found it, etc. Yeah, great. So we will see it and at a good moment where we can stop and get your questions in. That's great. That's really great. Good. So, as mentioned, today we will introduce you to Rollup 31 as a view of an HR user. Tomorrow we go one step further and take a view of an admin and an implementation partner. This time we have done a lot of things in the background. Things which we won't show you today in detail, but we are planning on doing this tomorrow. This will heavily contain the absence management, and it will also show you an integration to a learn management system which we have now. So this will be both the focuses for tomorrow. How to get Rollup 31. You could follow the lead, the email which you got yesterday and the day before, but also you can download it from the portal. The link is in here, but we make sure that we will paste it in the chat as well, so that you can download it directly. Any feedback which you have from Rollup 31, as long as it's not released, please don't send it to support@hubdrive, rather send it to Franziska Krug and August Hoxha, the email address you found in here, mainly because it is still RC stage, so we are taking it out of our standard product bug process as it is not released, and they will fix it before it gets released.
Yeah, so I sent in the chat right now the link that you see right now in the presentation, the link to the hub, the partner service hub, where you can get this RU31RC and yeah, the emails in case you want to send feedback. You can find it in the chat.
So, Ian, you still raised your hand. Is it already a question, or did you just not take it down? Oh, it's gone. Thank you, Ian. Yes. This time, please, and this is really, really important, and the reason why we will tell you later during this meeting, it is absolutely necessary that you use a package deployer for doing the update. But there is an option that you first can install the SIPs, the solution itself, and then run the package deployer. No matter what, please use it. We run some plugins with the package deployer, which is helping to keep your customer systems clean in this case. Okay. Without further ado, what have been the both focus areas? So when we planned Rollup 31, the main focus was recruiting. In the Rollup 30 training, we explained this to you that we are now want to focus on one module each time on our product to improve it. However, we found out that we have some gaps and some bugs in absence management. This is why Rollup 31 ends up with two main focuses. One is absence management and one is recruiting. We will start today to talk about leave entitlements processing, which will change from the future, and will change for 31. And we deeply consult you to update your customer systems till the year. And on Rollup 31, the reason why I will tell, we will get into it later. We have a new position planning method in there. We have the position added a couple of roll-ups ago. I think it was roll-up 29 or 28. And now we added even a process back there, which allows more interaction between different people in that company to establish a good processes of resource planning. On the applicant recruiting, we did the load. We did really a lot, and we will show you this. The focus have been GDPR, but also we entered an applicant rating and a nice feature that we get a preview on documents which have been uploaded to that applicant. We have in Rollup 30, and we do this next, is per diem calculation. All of you know the per diem calculation, but we added some options there which are required from certain countries, so that we can even do per diem calculations for travels, for receipts in even more countries as we have been able as well as already. Integration to LMS 365. I gave it away already. Yes, we have a full-blown integration now to a learn management system called LMS 365. And how this is working, we will get into more detail tomorrow, but I will say a couple of words later on it. And as the last time, we will take a look in the further improvements, or minor improvement, which we have in this roll-up as well. We will take a look on which product bugs, which you all handed in to us, have been fixed with this roll-up, so that you can get back to your customer and tell them, hey, if we update on roll-up 31, this problem which we had is now gone. So, calculation of leave and hourly absences. I will now pass the stage over to Vera, and I will be back in a minute.
Yep. Okay, let me share my screen. So I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen, and so let's get started with the Rollup 31 presentation. So as Holga said very well, the focuses in the Rollup 31 are absence management, so absence management and recruiting, and we start with absence management. As you can see, the calculation of leave got improved. Mainly the hourly absence calculation got improved, which means that requesting leave on an hourly basis with a manual entry of hours is enabled and further improved in the system. The system will prevent entries with wrong data or wrong information, and this makes sure that the times that you enter in the calendar and also in the leave request, that the hours are more flexible there, so you can enter the hours yourself, and also the system will throw messages in case you are entering a number that doesn't make sense. Also, we will take a look right now at the leave request form, or the view of the leave request got highly improved. So I'm hoping everyone can see now on 100, let me set to 140%, and let's then show you how nicely the new leave request form looks right now. So you see that, well, we got this question and idea from several customers, companies, partners, where they don't like very much using this bar on the right side. So what we did, in order to allow them to use the main navigation instead, or the main screen, we entered the previous stage and next stage buttons right here. So it makes your navigation clearer and easier, and you don't need to click on this little circle and expand it. No need to do that anymore. now you have the buttons to move to the next stage or previous stage right here. And so, as I said, the hourly absence got greatly improved. So when you enter, let's actually go with a different employee. So when you enter, for example, overtime, which is usually an hourly absence type, and when you uncheck, for example, if you don't want to enter all day event, let's say you only want to enter 4 hours, you would set 1 day, let's say start date and half of the day, and in the okay, there's another leave request. Let's just choose a different employee. I'm hoping, no, okay. These dates are very popular in my system. Let's try like this instead. Okay, awesome. So as you can see, the hours, well, in this case, the bar got opened, but you see that the hours got shown for hours because it's half day on 1 day. And if you want to enter, for example, 10 hours, in this case, it doesn't make sense because it's a full day. The system is going to tell you you are only allowed to take no more than 7.9 and higher than 0.1. So the system doesn't allow you to enter hours that don't make sense by the employment term, for example. Same thing if you change the dates. So this is the example for 1 day, but if you enter start day on the 8th, and then let's say we want to enter any absence type for a week, and you enter the hours, another ridiculous high number, when you move to the next stage, again, it's gonna tell you that's not a good amount in this case because it's a week. You need to enter between 40.1 and 47.9. Yep. Yeah, so moving on, if there's no questions on this one point, now we move on to the offset processing, passing over to Holga. You are muted.
And I explained everything already, picture perfect. Some of you realized that our system has problems when too many employees and too many data sets in there. In the previous Rollup, we did a lot with background workflows. We did a lot with import functionalities in order to handle big operations, which should have happened to a certain time period. For example, the rollout of leave entitlements over all employees, we always had problems with, and that's why we did a big change in the background. Rather than always doing the calculation when we hit the process, for example, the carried forward of the leave entitlements for the next year, meaning everything which is remaining this year will be carried forward to the next year. Then processes start running and checked every leave entitlement which was enabled or which should be processed, and then did it one by one. This is, of course, happened to a lot of problems. Didn't do all the leave requests, and furthermore, we had huge errors if it comes to transferring overtime entitlements, where we have an entitlement for every day. Also, we had a process in Rollup 29 and in Rollup 30, which did a recalculation of the whole absence entities as soon as a leave entitlement, no independent which type, was added, deleted, deactivated, or changed. Meaning, if you had an overtime entitlement which was created, all the leave requests for the whole year all the sickness requests, all the vacations, etc., have been recalculated. And at the same time, thinking about having a weekend with 500 employees and it becomes suddenly Sunday, workflow hit, and it created a minus leave entitlement for overtime for all employees and recalculated all the leave entities in the whole system. This, of course, wasn't sufficient. That's why in Rollup 30, we already split that the leave entitlement creation on overtime is not affecting the other entities, that they are automatically recalculated the whole year, which was already a huge step forward. With the new Rollup, we've taken it one step further. Instead of adding just leave entitlements, and having them calculated to a certain point in time altogether for all employees, if we are triggering, for example, the carried forward, we will create a calculation immediately once a leave entitlement is added. This especially if you add a minus leave entitlement, which was, for example, carried forward from a previous period. The offset process, we will explain to you in details in used cases, because it's not that easy to understand and get by tomorrow in that meeting. However, we think it is important that your customer has it, but that the offset process, you don't need to explain in detail to your customer if they are not really want to know this, because the calculation is done in the background and the result is clear logical, but the way we get there might be a bit challenging to understand. If I think about some customers, I don't know how to explain it first. This is why we also not put it on any app, not put it on any self-services field, which is called offset. So this will be only available for HR managers and admins. So long term, short. I'm on Sarah Allen, an employee, and I will open a leave summary for today. Let's open the vacation leave summary. And till now, everything looks the same. For example, we have the entitlements here, which is all summed up, etc. We have a start, we have an end date, we have the entitlement taken, we have remaining, and now we have offset. I will create now a new entitlement, a new negative entitlement. Let's say it was carried forward minus 10 days from the previous period. And all the options, I think, are clear to you, but I say, hey, this one should be transferred to a new period as well. You see, there is a new business rule. All the view is completely new. It is different from what you're used to when you're added a leave entitlement. And it contains a couple of business rules, which makes it more obvious that which dates should be filled. For example, the transfer to new period, meaning this one should be booked out in end of July. And of course, it should not be between start and end date, meaning this one will be transferred to the next period and will be booked out, if not zero, at 31st of July next year. It is for us a special entitlement, and it is a carried forward entitlement. Keep in mind, this is minus 10. I'm now saving it and get back to it. Okay. Oh, it started well. Expected behavior have been that the offset is now filled and is directly calculated and a new entitlement is created, which is taking the offset and calculating it immediately that we get a new entitlement, which is 0, 0, 0. Again, we will focus on this tomorrow, and I promise you tomorrow it will work as well as it did a couple of hours ago. The carried forward environment. Oh yeah, I forgot this. You've seen that this expiry date in here is now renamed and will be renamed transfer until. We don't have it yet everywhere, but we will have it everywhere, that it's no longer expiry date, but that it will be called transfer until, which we hope it does make it more clearer and also is a bit a better definition than having an end date and an expiry date. No, it is transferred until latest at this point. We will face the challenge that in the couple of next months in December, the dialogues will be depreciated. As you saw, I was able to enter this entitlement now without the dialogue. It used to be inside of a dialogue. However, we use dialogues on different parts in the system. One of the part is that we are carrying forward entitlements. As you remember, we did this on the department. And I'm doing this as well. So I'm going to the settings and hitting department. And I mark, for example, the production department. I could mark everything else. Just opened it. And now we all knew that we had a button up here which stated carried forward entitlements. This is no longer there. Instead, we are using now the Power Automate functionality. So we click on flow and we see a button there called process leave entitlements. And everything which you knew is there is now still there. It is just a flow. And you say, as always, I want to transfer the entitlements from 2019 for the department production to the next period. Hit one flow. And instead of using the import functionality, now the flow will look into the system, will find the leave entitlements which are enabled to carry it forward from 2019 and will automatically carry forward to 2020 with the remaining days and the right valid dates based on this. Okay. Also, something which changed during this Rollup 31 is that if you changed any leave entitlement, any leave request, any overtime in the past, meaning in a previous period, there haven't been automatically retransfer, meaning that all the changes which might or might not have been affecting the carried forward entitlement is now taken care of, meaning all the changes in the past will be automatically transferred in the current period. Before we move on, I know a lot, and unfortunately this one thing didn't happen as I expected. Before we move on, any questions to absence management before we move to the positions? This is not the case. Then Vera, it's your stage.
Good. It means we are explaining everything clearly. I take the stage. Yeah, so the next next big change that we implemented, or something that we are introducing right now with Rollup 31, is the position planning flow. So a business process flow is now available for better planning of new positions. There is a flow that goes from planning to approval to availability, which means that the supervisor also gets more involved and they can request new positions and enter more information, such as start date, define a job profile for that position, define the approver, the budget, and many things get pre-filled in there, such as department, taken from the job profile. This means that, of course, the process is very automated and it saves you time when it comes to planning and processing the positions in your company or in the customers' companies. Another thing that we sort of introduced as part of the positions is the staffing status. This staffing status gets automatically updated as we move the position planning forward in the process. So let's take a look. Here we have the positions under administration. Let's create a new one and take a look how this changed. So before we had much less fields in there. Right now we have more and more details that can be filled easily. So let's define an example position. I will go with software developer. Then, as usual, you can create a tree of positions in there. You can define job profiles. Mandatory fields here are the start date, full-time equivalent, and of course the position itself. So assuming that the job profile is there and assuming that there is a department there as well, once I hit save, the department should be pre-populated. Okay, in this case it's customer service. Doesn't make much sense. Let me just change quickly to support specialist. So this is more clear. And you see that right now we are in the request stage. This is the very first stage. This is ideal for the line manager or for the supervisor when they are requesting also. They could also get this idea of requesting a new position. In here on the right side, you also get the budget amount, who approves and who requests the position. In this case, at this stage, this has to be the same user, or in this case here, you enter the user and here you need to enter the employee that represents that user. We enter some budget amount in here. I don't really know how much this would cost, but for example, $5,000. Need it very much. So many fields got entered in here. The current assignment, which was in the Rollup 30 as well, we kept it in here because we thought it would be important to still have the exit risk and the employee currently assigned to a position for a better understanding and overview. Also, the position assignments, you still have this in here. You still get the overview, who was assigned to this position before, currently, and who might be assigned in the future based on the dates that you set. So when we move to the next stage, let's say the position was requested, then someone needs to come in here, review all of the information that was entered, including the budget, of course. It's very important to review what budget was entered in there. And then the user who approves just simply enters here approved or rejected. And I want to ask your attention here to the staffing status. So right now is under requested. As we move forward and we approve the position, just take a look at what happens under staffing status. Okay, going ahead of myself. Let's refresh. Okay, I moved ahead, but while I was in this stage, it would be in approval if I didn't move too quick, it would be in approval. So it also gives you at the first glance what is the staffing status. So you get also this status when you look in the view in the positions. So you can see which ones were just requested, which ones are in a bit more advanced in approval stage, which ones were filled, open, and so on. And equally, like we saw just now, when you move to the next stage and you give it a quick refresh, well, yeah, now it doesn't show, but it would be in recruiting. Yeah, I tend to be very clicky, and then things don't happen, but this happened and it works. So yeah, that's on position planning. Okay, so then moving on.
This was my cue, right?
Yeah, the 5 seconds silent.
All right. Moving on further along, once we have an open position, which is not filled, it is up for filling it up with an employee, but also going with an applicant. We did do a couple of changes, as you said. Applicant is one of the main, or recruiting itself is one of the main focuses of this Rollup. We did a lot on this behalf to increase and improve user experience. One thing which we added is that the HR managers are now able to rate an applicant in a 5-star easy ranking system. Another thing which we improved is that we are now transferring, once an applicant is hired, directly all the fields, all the files to the employee. We all know that most of the fields have been already transferred, but we had some gaps there. For example, the department didn't fill in, the hired on didn't fill in by Skype, ID, country, region. These are just examples. They are now also carried forward. The department head, this is a change also on the digital personal file. Once you fill in now the department, there's a workflow behind it, which now finds also the department head, which was another minor gap which we had in the solution. So the department head is now also filled automatically once you fill in the department. How does the new applicant or application form look like? This is Anderson Tom. As you are aware, we have up here a new business process flow. Well, the business process flow is the same, but we have new buttons in here. This fields used to be drop-down fields, meaning option sets where you could choose, and we decided to bring a bit more colors in there. So we use PCFs a lot in this and make it available to you so that you can see better and make the whole environment of using our solution a better experience. We changed the structure of the whole form, meaning everything which is most important we put on the first tab. It wasn't always the case that on the first tab was always the most important stuff. So we have on general all the basic information, and we put it right there where you read first, left-hand side on top. And then next to it, we put a rating scale. You still be able to say in one of the earlier stage, is it an average match? Is it a good match? And this is the star rating, which we talked about. Based on the star rating on the applicant rank is built, meaning that if you are choosing applicant, it is now easier for you because you can see on the vacancy which applicant is ranked by you with which star. Next to it, you see the applicant score, which used to be there before, but now finally it has a great a great view with having this graphic in there, which can show you any value which the applicant scored based on the skills or skill levels he had. Most of you already caught an eye is this one. The document section. Rather than having the documents down here, which they still are, where you can download it, coming from the portal, they are automatically put as an attachment into the notes. They are now available as a quick view functionality up here. For example, I uploaded the feature training agenda earlier today, and you are now able to, with one click, to see the file without having to download it first. Yeah. So you see everything without having to leave the application, without having to download it, without having to look, especially if you are later in the application process. It might be that it's far further down in the notes section where you can find the files. We made now obvious that all the documents is right here, meaning that if you enter another file, I will do that right now. Click on it. Let's look for one, maybe something I won't show. Let's go with a dummy is always a good thing. And now it will appear right here. There you go. And with one click, you can easily open it. We created this because it also allows you to not allow any longer the download of attachments on the whole platform, meaning you can prevent that no one is able to download an attachment from the notes section, but still make it visible for all the ones who have access to the system. GDPR-wise, this is a requirement we sometimes get from customers, and it can really help you. Okay. Gareth asked, can we have a report of applicants with their star ratings, overview of all measurements? Yes, you can have a report with all the measurements. I will show you right now, actually, that you can click on the evaluations, and we see that down here, we have all the skills with required grades, with an actual grade, with a self-rating in there, all the skills which are required in order to fill the position he is wanting to fill. Also taking into the account of this applicant score is the applicant rank and the aptitude which you provided him, and therefore this is good. And if you go to the vacancy and click on the applications, you will be able to see it here as well. Yeah, all the applications here with the rank. See, here's the rank. He has a rank 5, so he should be up top. Does it answer your question, Gareth? Great. Also, we have a new view, which is called high potentials of applications. I show you that now in confidence. Why? Because we know there is still a little work to do, but this is why we have an RC. In this high potential applications, we will make sure that all the high potentials across all vacancy and will be shown and will be ranked, so that if you have a holding structure or multinational, that you can see, okay, there are high potentials. Hey, maybe I should contact them because they are maybe not the right position, not on the right position for something else, but they are still high potential. Yes. When hiring, I can do the documents in the DPF customer section. David asked if when we're hiring an applicant, do the documents end up in the DPF document section, not in the document section. They will end up on the DPF, but not on the document section. The document section is a SharePoint. But you're able to do this with a Microsoft Flow or Power Automate better, that you can, if you or the customer want that you're copying it from the application directly in the right employee. There's all the connections there. And actually, we already did this for one customer. So a technical yes. Is it in the standard that it ends up in the SharePoint? No, because not all customers use the SharePoint. Gareth asked, are the docs stored on SharePoint? The docs which I just showed you are not stored on the SharePoint. They are stored in the notes section in the timeline as an attachment. Therefore, admins don't need to have to take care about the SharePoint administration part in terms of application. Yes. Yes, Gareth, the notes section and the attachment is a CDS entity. Good. So good. Let's move on to the applicants. It used to be the case that when an application hit stage 3, that all the line managers got this application shared because we want feedback in there. Till now, the line managers had the same view as the HR managers, meaning they also saw, for example, the birthday. With Rollup 31, we are introducing an evaluator form, meaning a form which doesn't contain that. Nothing special in there, that it is a new form, has a new purpose. It is for supervisors and line managers. However, we made sure that our standard supervisor role and our standard entities, supervisors are no longer allowed to download dynamic Excel tables. This will limit them, that they only can download where they have access to. Yeah. So if they export an applicant, they are no longer able to add fields on the Excel sites and retrieve that data, which they have been able to do with Dynamics, with a dynamic Excel sheet. Yeah. And we already talked about that the documents can now be viewed by them, but not any longer downloaded with a normal supervisor. Okay, Gareth, good. I will put this at the end. Your question, which one? Good. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to not instantly reply. Okay, I will show you that form right now. It's an applicant form with evaluators, it is called. It will have all the general info, all the contact details, but you see that some of the good fields like a birthday is no longer shown. You will have now also the data storage confirmation, which is linked directly to the applicant portal, as well as you could have the candidate pool storage confirmation, which happens if you put someone in the applicant pool, for example, it remain yes, but if you are not putting them in the applicant pool, the GDPR clean off will hit in and will anonymize all the applicants and application data, so you can't no longer retrieve it. Good. This was my last point to applicants and applications and all the recruiting. We will now move on to the per diem calculation. If you have any questions on the recruiting part, I would ask you to come forward now. Gareth, your question I would answer right in the end of this meeting, if this is all right. But anyone else? Nope. Then let's move on. Per diem calculation. We extended the configuration possibilities. For example, we are now able to set a maximum of days where you can get any Verpflegungsmehraufwand back or any amount of money back from your company or for tax cuts. We also added the distance for the allowance, which is considered as well as domestic as abroad. Meaning we always had a minimum distance which has to be traveled in there. For example, in Austria, it is you have to be traveled 10 kilometers, I believe, that you really can consider it as a travel. But also the rate which you get back from a date is depending on how far you are away from home. You can find this in the region section as well as in the travel destination sections. The second point, which we'll show you more in detail, but I want to share this with you directly, is that we now have a fully functional integration with a learn management system. This learn management system is called LMS 365. A lot of you know this, and it will be locked onto our training functionality and training organization. Meaning, if you create a training, you will now have the chance to decide if this is a training which you do on-prem or online, if you will, or if this is a type e-learning. If this is an e-learning type, then all the participants who are registered to this training will get the URL. They will automatically be, or this training will automatically be created on the LMS 365 site. They will be able to participate, see the videos, do the questionnaires, and if they pass a questionnaire, we even get a feedback there that they have passed. Is everyone aware of you that what LMS 365 is and what it does? Good. Gareth asked what information has been given back. So let me take a look. So we will create the trainings on the other side, and once the questionnaire is done, we will get back that the participant has passed that questionnaire and therefore has passed that part in the e-learning which we created on the other side. Yeah, it is very exciting. Thank you, Gareth. Yeah. And it is based on a lot on SharePoint, meaning a lot of those trainings can also be watched and taken care of in Microsoft Teams, which we are also very exciting that we are not moving outside of the Microsoft environment, rather being still inside of Microsoft products included in our training module, having it included directly in our training calendar so that everyone can participate and everyone can do all the functionality with also giving the feedback that if someone passed the training, if someone get a certificate on LMS 365, that we also have it back. Good. We go into the further improvements. So now we talk about minor improvements, which will have a big impact for you. We added in the base data now the Swiss public holidays, meaning for all cantons, we have added the calendar for this year, next year, and the years after. And we will have this in our product long term, meaning with all the future roll-ups, we will make sure that all the changes will also be in the product. We changed the workflow which handled the payment, meaning if you are replacing a contract and there have been some payment or some wage types in there, they are usually copied directly to the new contract, but kept in draft so you can adapt them, but it's easier for you that you already adapt something rather than creating them from new. This workflow, however, is now adapted that one-time payments which are taken or which happened in the past, meaning before the new contract will start, will no longer be copied to the new contract. A bigger change for end users is that we are now adapted the order and the menu bars in the navigation pane. What do we mean with this? In the past, we had different namings and different sections for all apps, meaning if you would see the time and attendance section inside the HR Hub Manager self-service, there could be different parts in there. There could be different names in there. Just smaller gaps which we had there, we cleaned it up so that you are now able to find things easier in all the apps you are visiting. Yeah. One thing which you didn't see before is, for example, that time and attendance in the HR Hub is now, as well as in the other hubs, a different section. It used to be part that the attendance is part of my work because it looked for me that it is my work. Also, in the HR Hub, there is no longer my leave request as it used to be there. It is just leave request under the leave and absence section. Yeah, so we changed and we adapt all the sidebars and made it more clearer also for users which are using the other apps as well of ours. Good. We changed the gold bright parameters on some functionality. For example, the applicant calendar, the leave request calendar. With the configuration parameters, we now made it possible that the calendar, for example, can be loaded directly when you open the screen. So instead of, as we had it till now, you are now able, by adapting option sets, and inside the option sets, you can add the parameters that our gold braid functionalities, like the absence calendar, is now loaded immediately. The last time in Rollup 30, we added also the employee absence calendar, not only the global absence calendar, where you already have been able to adapt if you see the colors or not see the colors inside the absence calendar. So now further adaptations there. More of this you will find on the release notes, which we will release as soon as possible, but at latest with the release of Rollup 31. In our introduction to Rollup 30, we already announced that we are deprecating some fields. These fields have long-term been replaced and not used in our last rollups. However, we ask you that for your customers, you already check if there is any customizations on those fields. If so, we ask you to please change it to the new fields. With Rollup 30, we are now removing them from our solution, meaning they are no longer available. In the beginning of this meeting, I asked you that this time, please use the package deployer. Why do I ask you this? Inside the package deployer, we run a small plugin which makes sure that if something is still in the old field and not in the new field, that we are copying before removing the old fields, the data into the new field accordingly. If you want to be on the secure side, please use the package deployer. Okay, without further ado, resolve bugs. As you know from our end, we will also release with the resolve bugs the error codes, meaning we will give you the ticket codes in the release notes, but here we left them apart. Elsewhere, we would have just release notes, ticket IDs in here. Therefore, let's quickly go through it. We changed the security permission for time and attendance, and especially for the employees, they are now adjusted. All currency fields are now set to have 2 digits by default. Some of you didn't see it, but we had some sections where actually we had currency field with 3 digits after the comma or after the point. Yep. Audit history is now standard enabled for applicants, but we keep it in check, meaning that if you enable it for applicants and for GDPR reasons, the fields are anonymized, you can't restore it with the applicant, but we also will clean up the audit history there. All job translations for vacancy have the same template now. We added job translations earlier, and now we have them also in the same template. Guidance is provided for the process of requesting leave on hourly basis, meaning we now have the hourly basis and also have this error message, which you saw before, which will guide the end user to enter the right data. The payments will now get generated for our hourly payments, meaning that if you worked a couple of hours and you got this hours approved, and the end of the month you're creating a payment summary, now we will take these hours in account and multiply them with payments. This was already the case. However, the payments didn't reflect on the additional personal file if they had the status hourly. This is now changed and adapted, so you also see this now on the employee file. We had that for that attendance details cannot be created for the future. This will also be the case in the future, but we will take care also for time zone specific errors. Meaning if you're close to 0, close to midnight, and you're creating one and the system is already in front of you, you are now able to create the attendance detail. Flow for rolling out daily summaries, set correct employee reference. Yeah, we had a minor gap there. It worked most times, but now it definitely works. For GDPR reasons, we now removed inside the emails, which is sent to the supervisor, the absence type. Before we had the absence type in there, meaning that an employee had asked for vacation. However, in a lot of our customer environments, they allow that others read their emails. Therefore, we now removed the absence type, so they still get that email, but the absence type is not present any longer. Good. This is it from our end for today. And now I'm happy, or we are really happy to get your questions. Just come forward. Don't be shy. Unmute yourself and ask. Gareth asks the best questions. He's really sales driven. To be fair, I don't know, but we make this available to you. I don't know the cost concept there on the LMS 365. Do we sell licenses? Also a good question. I think we will. Steve, yes, it will. It will update that you participated on it, and if you have connected your training with a skill level, yeah, which you can get if you participate in this training, it will update your skill. Therefore, also your skill metrics, and will be also available for you in the next review. Wendy asked if this feature will be available in the demo environment, meaning the HR001. Do we still have Jason in here?
No,
nope.
we don't.
Is anyone else able to answer this? If this is already there, I know most of our internal systems are already updated. So Wendy, yes, it will be available in the demo environment. The question is when. But we will make sure that you get an answer when it will be available. But you are also able to create to download it from the link in there and install it in your environment so you can test it. Any plans on enabling printing of certificate as part of the LMS journey? You probably know LMS, Gareth, better than I do. We are planning on getting the certificate which you can earn from LMS 365 back to us. I think you can print them then as well. But as I'm already, it looks like that I'm not an expert on LMS yet, but I will be in the future. Armin, is there going to be a summary of the Rollup feature update training asking for a calling? Yeah, nice try. Yeah, for everyone a part of you. No, there will be, of course, the release notes as you know it, with all the details, further explanations in there. They are already in the making. They are right now in the draft stage, but we will make them available to you as soon as possible. So I see that some developers are participating. Now I got you. There was a question from Gareth. Which entity does the attachment reflect on the CDS? Does this answer your questions? Thank you, Stefan. Perfect, thank you. And if you have any questions, please come back to us. Good. Vera and I will stay for a couple of more minutes. If you bring up further questions, we are happy to answer them. For everyone else, thank you for being here. Thank you for paying interest in our Rollup 31. We are very excited also for tomorrow to show you the integration and also the new offset functionality in more detail. So hope to see you back tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Marcos, yes, I have some minutes for you.
Great. Can I phone you or JV?
You mean privately some minutes? Okay. I will call you back after this meeting.
I have only some questions for next week. For us other customer for a workshop.
Shoot, might be interested for all of them.
Yes. Okay, you call me, yes?
Yes, I will.
Oh, that's great. Via Skype or via Teams?
Teams.
Yes, okay, thank you. Okay.
Hey, Holger. Sollten wir schon. Es sind alle weg, ne?
Ja.
Warte kurz.